Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Newsbeat on Metro Television, coming to you live from the Ekwabwa Hima studios here at North Radio in Accra. My name is Ifwa Ando, coming up in the next 60 minutes. The Ghana Police Service puts 100,000 Ghana cedis bounty on anyone who gives credible information that could lead to the arrest of perpetrators in the recent Wa killing. About 20 structures demolished at Winneba due to long-standing boundary dispute between the Efutu Municipal and the Gomoa Central District Assemblies. Youth group claims responsibility while affected residents accuse the Efutu MCE. Plus, flags on British government buildings around the world begin flying at full mast once again as the period of national mourning following the death of Queen Elizabeth II ends. Details shortly. The Ghana Police Service has announced a 100,000 Ghana cedi reward for anyone who provides information that will aid in the arrest of perpetrators behind the recent Wa killing incident. This follows surveillance carried out by the Special Purpose Intelligence and Investigation Team during the night of 19th September 2022, in which the body of a male adult was recovered at Bamahu.
According to the police, analysis of intelligence gathered so far suggests that there may be more than one person involved in the heinous crime. The service has vowed to do whatever it takes to get the perpetrators arrested to face justice. It's noted that the Special Purpose Intelligence and Investigation Team, as part of their surveillance during the night of September 19, 2022, recovered body of a male adult at Bamahu. After the necessary crime scene examination, the body was removed and deposited at the regional hospital in Wa, awaiting autopsy with a pathologist from the police hospital, leading a team to Wa as part of investigations into the incident. A suspect, Kakani Adongo, who was arrested on September 19, 2022, is in custody, assisting the police to investigate further. The police is therefore urging anyone with credible information that will lead to the arrest and prosecution of the other perpetrators to come forward and share with the police with a 1,000 Ghana cedis bounty for such information.
And residents of Wa have expressed optimism that the visit by the Inspector General of Police and the Minister of the Interior, Ambrose Derry, to their town will repose some confidence in the security to get to the bottom of the heinous crimes.
Of the intensity of the matter, the whole of the country is not stable. Because if the Upper West region is not stable, definitely it will affect the other regions.
It's strange. It has not been happening. It's a new phenomenon, and it needs a higher authority to give assurance to the people and to ensure that his men and women in uniform are on the ground and doing whatever it takes to ensure that peace is restored in Wa. The criminals are found, punished according to law.
Within a month, a lot of people have been murdered. So we are happy the man is in town to bring good results, to bring the perpetrators to book.
Not that he might not have had first-hand information about the lapses in our security services, and I'm sure that is what culminated into all these problems, and our security service was overwhelmed and couldn't have dealt with the situation, which needed his direct intervention. So, but I think that all in all, he's welcome, and I hope that all what he comes to see and hear, he would be able to go back, re-strategize, and put better infrastructure as far as the security is in place in the Upper West region, so that the place will be a safer place for all of us.
Upper West Regional Correspondent Adams Musa joins us live now. The IGP, the WANA, and the Interior Minister have all spoken to the issue. What's the latest as of this afternoon? What is the state of the community like on the back of the arrest of the suspect? Hello, Adams. We can hear you, Adams. Hello, Adams. Can you please unmute? Hello, Adams. Right. We're trying to get Adams on the line, but we understand that another person has been killed in the Wa municipality as of last night. We'll try to get Adam to tell us what has been happening in the municipality so far. And we also understand that the body has been deposited at the morgue. Hello, Adams, can you hear me? Hello, Adams. Well, we'll try and get Adams to speak to us on this very issue. You're still watching Newsbeat here on Metro Television. We're also live on Facebook and also on Twitter as well. Hello, Adams. Right. We'll try and get Adams. Hello, Adams. I understand Adams is back on the line. Hello, Adams. Good afternoon to you. Hello, Adams. Good afternoon to you. Well, we'll try and get Adam. But residents of Wa have expressed optimism that the visit by the Inspector General of Police and the Minister of the Interior, Ambrose Derry, to their town will repose some confidence in the security to get to the bottom of the heinous crimes. We'll get Adams to speak to this issue right now, but we understand that a body has been found as of yesterday in the Wa municipality. We'll go there and speak with Adams on the issue. Now, my colleague Kenneth Jesse has been engaging drivers of some minibuses, and here's what they have been saying. Let's go to the Upper West region now. Our Upper West regional correspondent Adams Musa joins us on the phone now. Good afternoon to you, Adams. I hope you can hear me now, Adams.
I can hear you.
The IGP, the WANA, and the Interior Minister have all spoken to the issue of the arrest and the killings. What's the latest as of this afternoon? What is the state of the community like on the back of the arrest of this suspect?
Well, the community, as of yesterday, were happy to hear that one person suspected to be behind this killing was arrested. But interestingly, this afternoon too, there's another news. As of last night, another fresh case has also been recorded, just around the same area where these people have been perpetrating this act. So it is a kind of fear again, despite the fact that the Inspector General of Police is still in town, yet these killers are still go around executing their agenda. So it's quite shocking in town, and residents do not know where to take how this issue is going to be addressed, because they were all expecting that since one person suspected to be behind this has been arrested, and with the heavy presence of security in the municipality, they expected that at least they will not record any new case. But as of last night, another fresh case has also been recorded. As we are speaking, the search team is around that same area where this incident recorded again. So it's quite shocking in town, and everyone cannot explain what actually is happening in the municipality.
Now, Adams, walk us through how this exercise happened.
Well, a group of young men have agreed to help the Ghana Police Service to go around the particular area where this whole killing has been happening. So they are currently in the bush, areas that are still developing. They are around that area, searching the uncompleted buildings and bushy areas around that area, because that has been the style of these people. And if we look at the incidents that has happened, all of them have been buried in a shallow grave in a way and in the same position. So they believe that these particular people are operating within that same area. So this search group, including detectives, intelligence from the Ghana Police Service, are all in the same area searching for these people. It was in that search that this particular body was discovered. And again, the search still continues. Last night and this morning too, we're told that another fresh person has also been killed again in that same area. So we do not know now whether those who are perpetrating the act are living in that same area or they move from a different area to come and commit the acts there. That's what we are not certain now. But the search team are currently in the same area where I'm also reporting from. I'm reporting from the first incident where it was recorded. I'm reporting from behind it, and it is in that same area the search team is currently in now.
We are also being told that this suspect is going to be processed for arraignment. Is that correct?
Yes, what happened is that a lot of information are coming out. People are giving a lot of information to the Ghana Police Service, particularly regarding to the one that was arrested, the suspect. Others are saying that he is not closer to what they are attributing him to, and because of that, police are still doing more investigation to know who that person is, because we are told he's from the Upper East region and he has been in town for some time. Because of that, police are still trying to interrogate further to get more information before they can process him for court. So currently, he is still in police custody while the investigation and search still continues.
Yesterday, listening to the Wana, you could tell from his statement yesterday that he was not satisfied with the police's intervention so far in this matter. Tell us more about this.
Actually, it's true that Wana was not satisfied because through Wana's spokesperson, he did indicate that the only way that could give him some kind of relief is to do a proper checking of the security intelligence in town. And he was very emphatic on this point because some of the intelligence in town have overstayed and they are not helping the cause of what is happening. And because of that, IGP requested a closed-door meeting with Wana because IGP could not address the concerns raised by the paramount chief of WA. So he requested for a closed-door meeting. And after the closed-door meeting, we are still being told that Wana insists that what is happening, they are not happy. They are not seeing any sign that this will stop anytime soon. And this has come to vindicate what Wana said yesterday, because they were not sure that the incident is going to stop anytime soon. If Wana indeed made this statement yesterday, today we have recorded another new case. It means that what Wana said and it still has been vindicated. So we do not know. Currently, as we speak, IGP is not in WA. He is around Drapa, Laura, through to Tumu. He is around that stretch. He is not currently in WA, but he will return to WA this evening. We don't know what the next security meeting will be. So we are waiting for the arrival of IGP to the municipality. Then we will know the next line of action.
Upper West Regional Correspondent Adams Musa, thank you very much indeed. We'll still stay on this topic. Joining us via Zoom is leader of the Civilian Search Party in WA, Idrisu Sufian. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Sufian. Hello, Mr. Sufian. Good afternoon to you. Well, we'll try and get Idris Sufian on the line. Well, we lost him, but we'll try and get him on the line to tell us what has been happening with regards to the search so far. We have him on the line now. Good afternoon to you, Idris Sufian.
Good afternoon, please.
Now, this is the 7th such killing. When did the civilian search party start?
It started on the 12th of September 2020, around the very early hours of 6:30 a.m.
And what role have you exactly played? How were you able to smoke out the suspect?
The issue started, it was packet of issues. That was when it was still ranging from the numbers of 1 to 2. Then it came up to 3. We were still thinking that is something that independently the police could have jumped in to rescue us from this mess. But we got to realize that the issue was just stretching out of hands. And as civilians, we also have a way of contributing our quota in helping the police to do the search. So that's where we constituted a group. And from there till day, the numbers have been increasing. And as I'm speaking to you, we are still in the bush. The numbers are encouraging now. I think that there's hope, and the civilians are thinking that we have a role to play in helping the security.
Mrs. Fair, you still haven't told me how you were able to do this.
How we're able to constitute the group, or how we're able
to arrest the suspect?
Okay. You are talking about how we were able to arrest the suspect. Yeah, it happened yesterday. We got up in the morning around 6 a.m. We continued our normal routine bush and bushy area search. We moved from one bushy area to the other, from one uncompleted building to the other. We go to a suspected area, because we are civilians, we are not carrying weapons that we can face with people that we are anticipating or thinking that they are criminals. So we got to the scene, we stood there, we called the police in, and when they were coming, unfortunately, but fortunately, I don't know how sometimes they operate, but the blowing of the siren, we think that scared some of them. They took to their heels. In an hour time, we had a call from a nearby neighboring town, Bamahon, where the UBS campus is, that they saw somebody, they are suspecting that he is an alien to that environment. So 2 of us went there, we saw him in an uncompleted building, but where he personally was in fact, there was human activity there. So we're thinking that it has been a place that the person has been for a long time. So we also reached out to the police again, they joined us there. That's how the arrest was made yesterday in the afternoon.
And how much of a concern was it for you that those who were found earlier were not apprehended?
It was a worry. This issue that we've taken on since, some of us, we appreciate the level of risk in it, but we are also thinking that we have a community to save and we have a community to also work for. So we think that the way things are happening, a lot of us are putting our lives in risk, but I think we won't relent. We will go to any extent to help put an end to this particular decision.
And do you think some of the foreigners, especially the Nigerians, are involved in this?
Not necessarily. As of now, we can confidently say that they are foreigners or was in a syndicated crime like this. You can appreciate that even if they are foreigners at all, but it can't be done solely by them. They should be people who know town very well, because anybody who is conversant with what areas where these incidents are happening, it's a very new side that if you are not in town, some of the rules are there, you might not be able to even appreciate. Some people are still in town. It's because of this incident that they got to know that there are even structures there and there are lanes there. One can easily pass through to the main highway, the Wakumasi highway. So a lot of issues are happening there.
Leader of the Civilian Search Party in Wa, Idris Sufian, thank you very much indeed. Very much appreciate your time. You're still watching Newsbeat on Metro Television. We'll be right back.
They have almost 3 divisional offices, which the police themselves, they come here, we sit down here, we chat. I don't think police will entertain criminals here. And the MC himself, he have drove and came here to meet me, and we spoke. And he told me that he owns a land here, that so we should take care of the land for him.
You're welcome back. Good to have you with us. About 20 structures have been demolished at Winneba as a result of a long-standing boundary dispute between the Efutu Municipal and the Gomoa Central District Assemblies, whereas the affected residents are accusing the Efutu MC Alhaji Kasim Zubaru. A youth group in Winneba is rather claiming responsibility for the demolition exercise.
There is an ending boundary dispute between the Efutu Municipal and Gomoa Central District Assemblies. The latest controversy is a demolition exercise which had seen about 20 structures pulled down at the outskirts of Winneba. The area is referred to as Pietwatre by Gomoa indigents. The municipal chief executive for Winneba, Alhaji Kasim Zubaru, have been accused by the affected persons. However, a youth group known as Winneba Land Protection Force at a press conference claimed responsibility for the exercise. The group contends it carried out the demolition to protect Winneba lands and get rid of land guards and armed robbers in the area. The assembly member for Nyaba electoral area in Winneba and leader of the group, William Vikatia, said the group believes land guards and robbery activities in the area are caused by the affected persons, hence the move to demolish their structure.
We are trying to end crime. We believe that they are the armed robbers found on that stretch. That's it. Since they have guns, weapons, the achievement that we want to gain from it is that when we break down the building, their hideout, they have nowhere to hide so that the police can take full control of that area.
Tabjuddin Ibrahim Lari is an affected resident and the man described as land guard by the leaders of Winneba Land Protection Force. He denies allegations made against him and insists the demolition was done under direct supervision of the Efutu MCE. Larry and other affected developers want the matter looked into thoroughly by the police and also want the Ministry of Local Government to intervene.
I think Winneba, they have almost 3 police divisional offices, which the police themselves, they come here, we sit down here, we chat. I don't think police will entertain criminals here. And the MC himself, he have drove and came here to meet me, and we spoke. And he told me that he owns a land here, that so we should take care of the land for him. So if I'm a criminal, why will he come and entrust me with his land?
It was last 3 days when I was informed the MCE of Efutu municipality has been here together with Mr. Ham. I don't know if he is the chairman of MPP, together with the police commander himself, on the grounds here, destroying properties with no legal decision or whatever. They are just here to destroy properties over no reason. To me, I don't understand.
Meanwhile, Mustafa Ali, a member of the royal family of Gomoa Pietwatre, who has been mandated to sell lands in the area on behalf of the community, said the area belongs to Gomoa but not Efutu. He cites some judicial judgments passed on behalf of Gomoa.
Judgment 206 30th May I trust assassinate Gomoa for there. Our Mujina boundary settlements EI Order 1953. I trust assassin a Gomoa for assassin.
Akwesi Ado, our Central Regional Correspondent, joins us via phone now. Good afternoon to you, Akwesi Ado. What is happening there? We understand that there's a demolition exercise without the authorities present.
Okay, good afternoon. So just as it was mentioned in the report, about 20 structures at Pietwatre in Winneba have been demolished. Now, the inside story is that on Friday, according to occupants of the land in question, they saw a group of persons, including the Winneba MC Alhaji Kasim Zubaru, and then a police personnel entering into the site. And then when they entered into the site, they began demolishing the structures, some of which are already being occupied by residents, some of which are also at various stages of completion. Now, the residents aver that they rightfully purchased the place from the traditional authorities of Gomwa Pomadze, which is in the Gomwa Central District of the Central Region. And then they've been occupying the place for quite a number of years. But there is this long-standing dispute between Efutu, that is Winneba, and then the traditional authorities of Gomwa Pomadze over who owns that particular portion of land in question. And so, just as it's indicated in the report, a youth group of Winneba, the Winneba Lands Protection Force, is claiming that they were responsible for the demolition exercise, contrary to the narrative given to us by occupants of the land. Now, since the incident happened on Friday, there's not been any official communication from the police as to whether they were able to retrieve any kind of weapon or any kind of or whether they've been able to even arrest anybody in connection with land guards activities or robbery activities in the Winneba enclave.
But what evidence do they have with these claims that they are making?
Yeah, so according to the Winneba Land Protection Force, a youth group in Winneba, the only thing they have is that until those persons settled at that particular place, there were no sort of land guard activities or robbery activities in the area, and that there was only upsurge in crime when these people began occupying that place. And so they believe that they are criminals and or they are land guards who have been engaging in robbery activities and other criminal activities aside occupying the place. And so they decided to get them out of the place by demolishing their structures.
And have they had anything from the municipal chief executive in the area?
As of now, there's not been any official communication from the municipal chief executive of Winneba to us, except that we are aware that he granted an interview to a media organization in which he did stated that he wasn't responsible for the demolition exercise as claimed by occupants of the place. For the other assembly, that is the Gomwa, we are yet to also hear any official statement from the DCU of the area and that of the traditional authorities as well.
And as the affected residents, have they gone to the police? They are blaming names. Okay, right.
The affected residents have not mentioned making any official complaint to the police, because according to them, at the time the demolition exercise was being carried out, the youth group, including the Winneba MCE, came in or invaded the site with some police personnel believed to have been dispatched to the place by the Winneba Divisional Police Command. And so they avowed that if they are being labeled as criminals, then it should be the sole mandate of the police to, one, either also invade the site to arrest them, or two, invite them to the police for questioning. But as of now that we are speaking, there's not been any such occurrence that the police have invited or arrested anybody occupying the place in question.
Akwesiado, keep an eye on happenings. We'll definitely come back to you for more on this. Akwesiado is our Central Regional Correspondent. Moving on, legal team member of the National Democratic Congress, Godwin Eduji-Temaklo, says the Communications Minister must rescind her decision to block SIM cards by September 30. He argues some Ghanaians have genuinely been unable to obtain their Ghana cards, which is a prerequisite for the registration, hence the need to extend the deadline. Also, government spokesperson Kofi Tuntu says government should address the concerns of the people before proceeding with its plans to block SIM cards. They've been speaking with Dr. Randy Abbey on Good Morning Ghana.
I strongly believe that, look, our minister must come down from whatever she is standing on and begin to appreciate that even the sole card that she needs, which is the Ghana card, the making of that card, the one making it has a lot of challenges that he needs to grapple with until those ones are done. And maybe finally, the maker of the law on Ghana card, the making of Ghana card, never anticipated a deadline. That's the bottom line. The maker of the law, when they promulgated the law on Ghana card, they never anticipated a deadline. So when you have a situation where you are fixing a deadline on what never or contemplated the issue of deadline, then you had cross purpose with each other.
Randy, the bottom line is this. The 800 and something thousand people who through no fault of theirs are having challenges. I think government ought to look at them. We need to come up with a process to help these people or some additional time, whatever it is. And I'm sure NCA can provide the data to the government so we can cure that mischief and make sure the persons who through no fault of theirs can have access to their phone, maybe for another 3 months or 6 months, whichever way the ministry and MCA deem fit. You know, so I think the issue really is important that we discuss it, but let's not make it a political issue. It's an exercise that we all need for our safety and for our security.
You're welcome back. Up next is Business with Kenneth Jesse.
Thank you very much, Ifwa. Business News is next. My name is Kenneth Jesse. In business today, Ghana's quarterly gross domestic product showed an increase of 4.8% in the review of the second quarter. The report compiled by the Ghana Statistical Service showed that the manufacturing, crops, mining and quarrying, information and communication, as well as the education subsectors, were the main drivers of the GDP for the second quarter. Head of the Ghana Statistical Service, Professor Samuel Kobina Enin, stated that some sectors need to be given more attention.
The main driver for GDP growth rate was the manufacturing subsector, which expanded by 8.8% between the second quarter of 2021 and the second quarter of 2022. We saw we saw crops and cocoa also growing by 4.5% over the same period. So if you take these two subsectors, they are contributing in excess of 1 percentage point from the perspective of the 4.8 growth rate that we saw, with manufacturing contributing 0.96 and crops and cocoa contributing 0.70. So these were the two main drivers for the 4.8 growth rate that we saw in the second quarter of 2022. Important we pay attention to the subsector growth rate. As we indicated, the headline growth rate was 4.8%, but if you look at it from a subsector perspective, we realize that the services sector had the highest growth rate of 5.2%, followed by the agricultural and the industry sectors that grew by 4.6 and 4.4% respectively. What is important is to look at within these three subsectors, the subsectors that led the growth. Manufacturing subsector grew by 8.8% over that 1 year period, followed by crops and cocoa that grew by 4.5%. In the context of the 4.8 percentage growth rate that we saw for the economy, these two subsectors contributed more than 1 percentage point to the 4.8 percent growth rate that we recorded, specifically with manufacturing growing at contributing 0.96 and crops and cocoa 0.70. From a policy perspective, we need to pay attention to the subsectors that contracted over the period. And some of the subsectors that contracted over the period were what we saw in terms of public administration and support services, what we saw from the water and sewage subsector, and again, what we saw from the utility subsector.
So I have been engaging drivers of some minibuses, and here is what they had to say concerning government's intention to ban it from long-distance journeys.
Road Minister Senator Kennedy, seconds. So Penia Kwan also double lane because Kokoba Pass Kanya accident to her. Soon road Umia Kanya accident to her. As the Nina single lane, so a Peja Jashi 2 and Koko and accident in Ejina.
Tabanka Sadia. Me menene nyaadwa na ase nene nyaadwa fi se ye di bro nya wie e be sin ne no ka we onje se ba akwa apema na ase ba akwa tofom e bi nsi ye ya afutu o mo de ma ye no anu ne ekuta ka no se se ya to ye bo ye ko ne kama e fi se wo hwe ka se pempem okwan no so ne akese tofom wo ma to ye de yi bi Yeah, dear, you know, a free sep, ye deep when you be seen, you won't a car will be up and I say be out of form. And I'm moving your number, be said, car will be number so and so, out of form, and answer number so and so up him, and any baby you are now.
The Bamba say, I hear your moment as a down for the ye. So to the mission. And yes, a beer, sir, accident, nay, Kakatuane, Kakasene, one way. And I do say, they can't know Namuson and Gasano. Ah, yes, I sing the singing, and why? And found the Kakatuan and found Kakasi. Kakasi will come double of Kakatch, Kakatua.
O kan say e fa ba bi ne nyaadwe fa ba bi so bi ne nyaadwe and ade ba ko ne say e fa ba bi so sebi a na free passengers no obu o wa driver bi wo wa passenger ne kasa wo hu ha obesi ne passengers na kasa passengers bi wo obi a o nante be 120 140 was ya che mi wo kasa che mi a wa ye kwa mi ko 120 me ba be 80 but obu on so a passenger ne kasa bi kwa no asa adobo no ko be 160 entirely dependent driver and passengers need be so I can't want problem needs to be see.
Right, so let's have a conversation on the back of this, and joining me via Zoom is the head of regulations, inspection and compliance at the National Road Safety Authority, Kwame Kodua Tuahene. Mr. Tuahene, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Kindly help specify what type of minibus you are referring to here and how you plan to go about this, because when I spoke to these people earlier, they are clearly not happy with the new directive.
Well, thank you very much. It's not surprising that they are unhappy, and we are equally frustrated by their conduct. I mean, essentially, the 15-seater Toyota Hiace bus operators that ply our major highways are the operators in issue. If you were to create an opportunity for patrons of these services or other road users on our highways to give you feedback on the way they conduct or misconduct themselves on our major highways, I mean, you would appreciate the necessity for this intended action. We have come to this stage having met them, about 4 or 5 of these operators, to express the concern, worry, and complaints we have received from many road users. In fact, at the beginning of the year, the National Security Ministry had risen to write to us on their own observation and feedback from these practices. And we met all of these operators to bring this to their attention. And we are living witnesses. I mean, when we use the highways, we also see the way they behave. If you look closely at the data of all the vehicles getting involved in road traffic crashes between 2018 and 2021, of all the commercial vehicle constituency, these minibuses account for about 31%.
Right.
And the reasons are the common issues we speak of: high speeds and reckless overtaking. What we are saying is that the position of the authority per the alert is that it's more like giving them the final opportunity to turn on a new leaf.
Right. Mr. Tuahene, let me come in here. When I spoke with them, they did say that they are not entirely to be blamed. For instance, if they had dual carriage roads, they wouldn't have any accidents on the roads. And also, it has to do with the mindset of the driver. So even if the driver is a minibus driver or a long vehicle bus driver, if the driver overspeeds and does not obey traffic regulations, they are clearly going to have an accident. And also, they did mention that they have been told not to overspeed, overtake wrongly and all that. So they do not understand why they are being singled out to not travel long distance. How do you respond to these accusations?
Okay, so you will notice that in the alert, the focus was essentially about 4 operators. There are more than 4 operators in that space that use these kinds of vehicles. It points to the fact that others are doing something right, whereas others are not.
So what happens when this new directive comes into force? What do they do with their purchased vehicles? Because some say that they purchased these vehicles brand new in the region of more than 400,000 Ghana cedis with the hopes of making profits. So now if these new regulations come into effect, what do they do with these vehicles?
We appreciate that. But you see, and that's the essence of regulation. When you leave the private person by himself, sometimes out of profit, without control, they compromise on safety. I cannot put a value on life. And these vehicles may cost so much, but can we quantify the value of life or the cost of crashes occasioned by their failure to exert control on their drivers? We cannot do that. And it's not a decision or a discussion out of the blue. This year we have met with them and they concede. They agree, most of them agree that they also receive some of these complaints. So what is it that they have done on their own to ensure that when that driver leaves their terminal, he does not put other road users to danger? Right. I think that should be at the heart of the conversation. Otherwise, there are other operators that are using the same minibuses, providing service in city, Accra from Medina to Tema, or from Circle to Dansoman, and they are in business.
Right.
Because that will give us a bit of comfort, because then we are certain that if you are driving within an urban environment, you will not have the pleasure to do over 120.
This is a conversation that we would like to have on our bulletins going forward. But thank you very much for speaking to us this afternoon. In other business stories this afternoon, the Deputy Ranking Member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, has doubted the IMF's assessment of Ghana's economy as it failed to reflect the country's real fiscal situation. According to him, the IMF got it wrong when it attributed Ghana's ailing economy to COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war.
On July 1, Ghana government announced a U-turn of an initial decision of not resorting to the IMF for support, despite economic hardship hitting the citizenry. Consequently, a team from the IMF arrived in Ghana to start negotiations with the Ghana government. The government has since maintained to secure a good deal for the country. Ghana is expecting to receive $3 billion over 3 years from the International Monetary Fund if an agreement on the program is reached. The IMF in its first meeting noted that Ghana is facing a challenging economic and social situation amid an increasingly difficult global environment. The fiscal and debt situation has severely worsened following the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, investors' concerns have triggered credit rating downgrades, capital outflows, loss of external market access, and rising domestic borrowing costs. In addition, the global economic shock caused by the war in Ukraine is hitting Ghana at a time when the country is still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic shock and with limited room for maneuver. These adverse developments have contributed to slowing economic growth, accumulating of unpaid bills, a large exchange rate depreciation, and a surge in inflation. Meanwhile, the Deputy Ranking Member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, said the IMF is managing the situation so they do not create fear and panic that will further exacerbate the issue. It is very clear that the Ghanaian economy has already suffered internal and external vulnerability before COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war.
That's it for business. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Phil John Corte is standing by with the latest in sports. Phil, take us away.
Well, thank you very much. Up next, the latest in sports. My name is Phil John Corte. Russian-based Senegalese international Keita Balde might not be going to the World Cup to be staged in Qatar. This is because the Italian Football Federation has suspended the player over a ban sustained.
Senegal forward Keita Balde has been suspended until December 5th over an anti-doping violation in Italy. His new club, Spartak Moscow, announced, severely compromising his chances of playing at the World Cup. The 27-year-old signed a 3-year deal with Russian Premier League side Spartak last month after spending the past season Cagliari in Serie A. Baldi has been suspended by the Italian National Anti-Doping Agency until December 5th for a procedure violation during an anti-doping inspection while he was playing for his Italian team. Spartak said in a statement. The Russian club did not specify the nature of the infraction, but said no prohibited substance had been detected in the sample tested. According to Spartak, Baldi will not be able to resume training until 3 weeks before the end of his suspension, in line with FIFA regulations. Spanish-born Baldi won the Africa Cup of Nations with Senegal in February, but the suspension could see him left out of the squad for the World Cup in Qatar, which runs from November 20th to December 18th. Senegal will play the Netherlands on November 21st in their opening Group A match. They also face hosts Qatar and Ecuador. Baldi's suspension would rule him out until the quarterfinals.
So bad news for footballers, especially football fans in Dakar and Ziguinchor in Senegal. Let's focus on the Black Stars who are in Paris prepared to take on the men from Rio. We're talking about Brazil and Nicaragua in the coming days. On Friday, the Black Stars will take on in that international friendly. There you see the Black Stars in that training camp in Paris over there. The likes of Arsenal-based Thomas Partey is over there. Andre Dedeyayo, who is the captain, is also in the fray. Alexander Djuku, all of them training under the tutelage of Otuado in your pictures over there. So on Friday, they'll take on the men from Rio, Brazil, and also later take on the South American, no, that's South America. Nicaragua is somewhere in Central America. That will be on Friday. So there you see the Black Stars. I can see Olele, Richard Kingston, trying to ensure that the goalkeepers are in fine shape ahead of the tie on Friday against Brazil. Well, that's your sports. My name is Phil John Quartet. Desi is back and ready for showbiz.
Thank you very much, Phil. Up next is entertainment news. Now let's move to the UK and take a look at some of the outfits from some members of the royal family at the burial of the late Queen Elizabeth II. It was a solemn moment on Monday as the longest-serving monarch of the UK, Queen Elizabeth II, was laid to rest. Amid the pageantry, speeches and final messages for the late Queen, there were fashion statements made by some members of the royal family. Despite the strict dress code for all mourners, as royal and political alike wore all black, to the knee dresses or coats, black hats and optional veils for women, and formal mourning coats for men. Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, showed up to the funeral on Monday wearing the pearl and diamond drop earrings gifted her by the Queen, and also wore the black version of a navy dress she wore to celebrate the Queen's 92nd birthday at the Royal Albert Hall in 2018. Her hat was also the black version of the Stephen Jones for Dior hat she wore to the Queen's Jubilee earlier this year. Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, donned Queen Elizabeth's pearls and a black Alexander McQueen coat dress that was a black version of the same coat she wore for the Platinum Jubilee earlier this year. Her 7-year-old daughter, Princess Charlotte, wore a diamond brooch in the shape of a horseshoe that her late great-grandmother, the Queen, gave her. Wife of King Charles III, Queen Consort Camilla, paid homage to Queen Elizabeth by wearing a Queen Victoria's Hesse Diamond Jubilee brooch, a heart-shaped piece featuring the number 60. And that's all for entertainment news. I am Desmond Okreku. Back to you for the rest of the bulletin.
The Ministry of Health in Uganda has confirmed an outbreak of Ebola virus in Mubenda district after the death of a 24-year-old man. The victim is said to have exhibited the symptoms of the virus and later died. He was a resident of Ingambano village in the Mubenda district. The World Health Organization in a statement said the case of the relatively rare Sudan strain was confirmed by the Ugandan Virus Research Institute. It says 8 people with suspected symptoms are currently currently receiving medical care. Meanwhile, health workers are being sent to affected areas. Equatorial Guinea has abolished the death penalty after the country's president, Theodora Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, signed a new penal code into law. The measure will come into force in 90 days following its publication in the official state journal in advance by Parliament, where all but one of the 100 legislators represent the ruling party. Flags on British government buildings around the world are flying at full mast once again as the period of national mourning following the death of Queen Elizabeth II draws to a close. However, the royal family will continue to observe another week of mourning, and flags at royal residence will remain at half-mast until 8 o'clock BST, 27th September 2022, the day after their mourning period ends. Senior royals are not expected to carry out any public duties during the mourning period.
And that's how we end News Beats. My name is Ifwa Ando. Have a good afternoon.